What was your big win recently?
So, my big win was that I actually sold one of my strategy sessions.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Tell us about how the challenge helped you do that.
When I took your course, or the 5 day challenge, the first thing you talked about was the lab framework. That just cracked my brain open because I just couldn't put it together. So,
Yeah.
I just focused on one person out of the many that I felt that I could serve. And I thought of what's one problem that that person might have, create one solution, and then sell it for $100. That's it. It's just that simple.
I just love your offer. It's so needed. And
Mhm.
what I love too about it is that it takes from your lived experience.
I'm a caregiver. I've been doing it for about 8 years as an unpaid caregiver for my family. That's kind of where this started.
I mentioned in the 5 day challenge that this doesn't have to be your core offer. This is kind
Right.
of like to get the feet wet, or it could become that. What do you think will happen next, or what do you want to happen next? Dina,
Hi, Arlan.
hi. What was your big win recently?
So, my big win was that I actually sold one of my strategy sessions.
Oh my goodness. Okay. What does that mean? So, how much did it cost and when did you sell it?
It's a $100 strategy session. It's 60
Amazing.
minutes. I sold it on the 16th, the 15th or the 16th. I posted it on that day. It was actually a purchase from a friend, but they
Mhm.
purchased it for a coworker.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was that part of did you take the 5 day challenge?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit.
Hmm.
The 5 day challenge is inside of my membership, Your First 5K. It's also part of Arlen's All Access, but it originated in Your First 5K, and it's your $100 offer. So
Hmm.
that's so cool that you sold a $100 offer. And tell us about how the challenge helped you do that.
Yeah. So I've been sitting on a lot of content for a while, just trying to figure out how I could start to even create content or create an offer or just do anything with all this information that I gathered. And it was just, I couldn't find the right on ramp for myself. When I took your course or the 5 day challenge, the first thing you talked about was the lab framework. And
Yes.
that just cracked my brain open because I did not, I just couldn't put it together to just focus on one person, one problem, create one solution, and then sell it for $100. That's it. It's just that simple. So
Yeah.
I just focused on one person out of the many that I felt that I could serve. And I thought of what's one problem that that person might have, and then what one solution that I can offer for that, and can I charge $100 for it? Yes.
I love it. And the answer was yes.
The answer was yes.
What is the offer?
Okay, so I offer a one-on-one strategy session for people who are juggling caregiving for elderly parents with their work, their career, their own family, their personal lifestyle, everything, just to give them a little wiggle room for themselves. It's a lot. Caregiving is a lot. I'm a caregiver. I've been doing it for about 8 years as an unpaid caregiver for my family. And that's kind of where this started. It was like there needs to be a better way of thinking about caregiving in terms of, it's a family affair. We're
Mhm.
caregiving for the family, and I'm also a part of the family. So I also need to be taken care of. And also, caregivers are really the engine behind making sure that caregiving can happen. So
Mhm.
we need our batteries recharged, and we need to make that a priority.
Yeah.
So my target audience is people who are just in the struggle right now and kind of confused and don't know what to do and why is this so hard? Why does it feel so bad? Why can't I get any free time or anything like that? And so I just walk them through their day, their week, figure out what can be adjusted, what can be eliminated. Maybe you need to set a boundary, maybe you need to,
Yeah.
just sort of rethink the whole plan.
Yeah, and you said that you were kind of all over the place, and then the lab framework, which is you learned something, you applied it, and then you benefited from it. That
Yes.
helped you. Was that in day one of the challenge where you started thinking through your offer, or had you already figured out your offer from the lab framework that I taught?
No, I think also I've been watching your videos. So that's how I learned about the 5 Day
Yes.
challenge. And I
Yes.
think that one of your videos had the lab framework in more detail.
It did.
Yeah, that's when I really started thinking about it. And then you
Mm,
mentioned it in the beginning on the first day, so not as in detail, but just sort of like, this is
reflecting
what you do.
on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
you said that you saw a video and that's
mhm.
how you joined. So how many days ago did you see a video and then join the membership?
Well, to be honest, you just popped up on my For You page, on my YouTube page,
Yes.
and I was like, I remember her. I, you know, yes,
Yeah.
this makes sense.
Yeah.
But I've been inundated with so many different people offering similar things, and
Mm,
it's kind of hard to discern like what's a good offer, what's a good, use of my time. You are consistent. You are posting every day, and every day it sort of like catches my eye even a little bit more. I'm like, oh, okay.
mm.
So every time you sort of broke it down from your first million to your first 100,000 to your first 5,000, when you broke it down to like your first $100 online, I'm like, I can do that. I can
Yes.
absolutely get in on that because it
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It seems feasible to me.
I just love your offer. It's so needed. And
Hmm.
what I love too about it is that it takes from your lived experience.
Yeah.
I would imagine, did you go to college for this? Did you like,
No.
no, right? It takes from your lived experience. And so many
Yeah.
people think, well, I can't sell, especially I can't sell to my friends.
Yeah.
Like I can't do that. But this was someone you
Hmm.
know, and on day 3 of the challenge inside of your first 5K, I teach you the whole day is about what if you don't have an audience or you don't think you have an audience. It's about that kind of not necessarily going out to just random people. It's
Hmm.
more like who could I help and who would benefit from this? So talk a little bit more about how your friend, how did they see the offer?
This 5 Day challenge was also an opportunity for me to do some reflective work. Like I didn't, it's always, caregiving has always been deep diving for me into like my own psychological, exploration.
Mm,
And this was no different in that I was so scared. And that on that second day, when you talked about talking to your audience, your social media followers, I'm like, well, I don't have an audience. I'm not on social media like that. I'm a lurker at best. I don't post anything. And so I'm just going to wait till day 3 to learn about how to build your audience from scratch. And then that night I said, wait a minute, no, you have an audience. You have 600 people or so on LinkedIn. Why aren't you thinking about them? I actually took it to ChatGPT. I'm like, why
mm,
am I struggling with this? I kind of broke it down. I was like, I know that I'm a little bit afraid of, you know, exposing myself to that audience to say that I'm not that person anymore. And so ChatGPT sent back like, yeah, you built that audience under a different context. You were a different person. You perceived yourself to be a different way. And now you're kind of like scared to approach those people and basically get out of your own way. Got it. I got the message. And so that's what gave me the courage to actually post in LinkedIn, on
mm.
LinkedIn to that audience. And it was scary.
Yeah.
But it was the best way for me to break free actually from that kind of chokehold of I'm still that person. I'm going to go back to that life. I'm going to go back to being that person. I am a new person. I'm on a new path.
When you say that person, you're just saying like your old career or something like that?
Identity. The identity erosion is one of the issues for caregivers. Like, we don't
Mm,
even want to call ourselves caregivers because
mm,
we don't want to identify as a caregiver. We want to identify as the person that we created all the years that we've gone to school and worked and created our own version of a successful self
yeah.
gets eroded when you become a caregiver, when you accept that name and then people just put you in a box. It's hard to reach the audience because no one calls themselves a caregiver. People are saying, "Oh, I'm
Mm.
just helping out. Oh, I'm just, doing this, or I just visit every once in a while." And then you don't realize how all of the little things add up to, yes, you actually are a caregiver. It's a hard sell.
Understood. So now you're on LinkedIn in front
Mhm.
of your 600 people. You're being brave and you're posting. Okay, what was that post like? What did you say in it?
Oh man, I did a lot of work on that too because I wanted to, I knew I had to be authentic. I hadn't spoken to this audience in 5 to 8 years. So this would be the first time I'm popping up, and these are like my old coworkers. These are people that I networked with. These are people, and they would be curious. Oh, yeah, what is Dina doing now? What's going on? So I knew
Mhm.
I had to address that in the post in a little bit, but also just do some back end work. Like I knew on LinkedIn, I know people are going to go look at your profile. So I had to make sure my About Me section was up to date about who I am now and where I'm going.
Yeah.
That my experience says I am a caregiver, that's what I'm doing, and I create content for caregivers. So all of that sort of back end work, and then the post itself was, yeah, so yeah, I did go home to become a caregiver, still here, but also I created this thing to help other people. I think it resonated. Out of the 600, I didn't expect 600, people to respond.
Sure.
Maybe 1%. And that's pretty much what I got. So,
Yeah.
but it was still just really just freeing for me and just exactly what I needed to do to sort of move forward. And it's been great. I posted another one and I'm like,
Wow.
I think I'm gonna get on a schedule, just sort of like keep that voice in that
Yes.
space.
Yeah.
I don't know who's listening and not, liking or reading and not, but I want to be that voice on that
Yeah.
platform. So,
I like LinkedIn because it tells you how many impressions your post
yes.
got. So you can at least see people see it. Not everybody is going to respond. And a lot of times, the people who end up being your customers are not responding publicly. That's what I've learned over time is that they're lurking like you're lurking, like you were lurking,
Yeah.
right? They're doing that. They may not even like it, put a like sign on it,
Yeah.
but they're watching. So then I just love this. This is so great. I
Oh,
think this is going
great.
to help people inside of your first 5K and inside of Arlen's All Access too, when they think about putting themselves out there, how to kind of approach what they would post, making it very
Mm.
personal or not even super personal, but it's just like telling a story. It's storytelling. It's
Yeah.
it's articulating that. So then someone saw that post and got in touch with you and said, "Hey, I would like to do the offer."
Right. So she called me. And so we had a nice long discussion about it.
Yeah.
And she thought about it. She said, you know what? I think I have a coworker who might benefit from this.
Yeah.
And I said, it's a very personal thing. When you talk to someone about being a caregiver, it's a lot of personal information about who they're caregiving for and what they're doing. So it might come across like maybe I think it's helpful to suggest someone to talk to someone, but it might seem like, oh, you're noticing something about me. Did you notice?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Might be like a trigger, like,
right,
yeah, what's going on?
what's
Hmm.
going on? And so she reported back to me that when she did speak to this coworker, that, they were like, oh, what is this? And they were open. They were open to it. And so that was good. And the best part was that they said, well, you know what? I have to pay you back. And they were like, no, 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 it's a gift. And they said, well, maybe I'll pay it forward and I'll pay for someone
Mm-hmm.
else's session.
Oh, that's
So
lovely.
I thought, oh my God, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that's
You
so
know,
wonderful. Yeah, because have you had the call yet? Have you had
not
that?
yet, not
Okay.
yet.
And it's going to be a 60-minute call.
Hmm.
And you've already given so much information in these few minutes. So I can imagine a 60-minute call with you for someone who is going through that right now would just be incredible. And this is your $100 off. Some people will watch this and say, oh, it's $100. I could never ask for that. And then other
Hmm.
people will say, oh, it's only $100. Like there's people are at different stages. The point of it is that you can have these conversations as like your first offer.
Hmm.
And like, what do you think is going to happen next? Is this your core offer? Because I mentioned in the 5-day challenge that this doesn't have to be your core offer. This is kind
Right.
of like to get the feet wet, or it could become that. What do you think will happen next, or what do you want to happen next?
That's a good question. I think because it's the format that I chose is an hour because I know how personal it is. I know how emotional it can be. I don't think it would be a great group setting because people are going to not be as forthcoming. I think I want it to be more strategic. So that's why I want it to be one on one. Tell me what you exactly are going through and tell me what you are experiencing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then we can work through that. But I do know that, you know, can take a lot out of me, you know.
Hmm.
I, mentioning, the cost, I was a little concerned about how to price it. But when I thought about the structure of it being such a one-on-one, such a direct approach, and I have so much experience, and this is not like tooting my own horn. It's like I have studied
Truth.
elder care in America right now. I
Yeah.
have been involved in caregiver support groups, and I understand that there's so much confusion out there and what people are confused about. So I have this kind of like shorthand that I can work through a problem with you, you know, pretty
Yeah.
quickly. And I feel confident in doing that. I've done it before, privately without getting paid, just in conversation with people. So I feel very good about it, but I don't think it's something I can sustain forever because it does take a lot of work, I guess, working with somebody one on one. So I think I would like to see for the individual, obviously, I want them to make some changes and then adopt that into their lives and move forward. But also, I have other content that I like to build and
Hmm.
offer.
Hmm.
So maybe for this particular offer, I'll do it for a limited time and then sort of package it as a study as you go, a little,
Yeah. Course type thing.
course type thing,
Yeah.
webinar or something like that, which would be at a lower price point and then maybe more accessible for other people. But
Yeah.
for this dedicated hands-on, I was like, no, I don't think I can go any lower than
Yeah. If you think
$100.
about it, I think this is a great idea because if you think about it, you could have a course that you film one time and it's available and it's just so helpful to people. It's $25 to $97, whatever that is. People can have it and it's a really helpful course. And then you could say in the course and under the course, you could say if you want one-on-one, book here and send it to a Calendly link where it's just your schedule is updated whenever you want. And that can be one call a week or it can be 20 calls a week, just depending on what you want to do that week.
Right.
And so people have the option of that. Then if you crank on the top of funnel traffic, which is the LinkedIn, maybe even doing a couple of videos on YouTube to have those caregiver conversations, then you just have this flywheel, which we talk about in day 5 of the 5-day challenge. We talk about how do you sell on autopilot? How do you sell even in your sleep? And for you, not only what you're teaching and consulting about the caregiving, but your natural state seems to be I want to help. And that is coming through so intensely. It's one of the reasons I'm so excited about the membership because not only do I get to watch people have their wins, like we're talking about your win, you did this in less than 5 days, amazing. But we also get to talk about like the people who are in this group and just
Yes.
how remarkable each person is. So people watching, if you want to join, you get to meet Dina in the group. You know what I'm saying? That's really
I'm there
cool.
every day.
They're every day.
There every day.
Yeah, and I wanted to, there's when you were saying before that I'm not bragging, there is a TV Western that I forgot the name of it, but their tagline was no brag, just fact. So
Okay.
if you made it this far into this conversation, in the comments, write no brag, just fact. And we'll know that you saw this whole thing. What do you say to people who are on the fence and still figuring out their offer? A couple of things. They're trying to figure out their offer. They are where you were a few days ago.
Mhm.
And also they may not think that they can charge people money for what they have to offer.
It is. So what do they call it? A limiting belief that what you know is common sense or common
Mm.
knowledge, and that is not true. You have to think about your individual experience, where you're from, where you've gone, what you've experienced, what you've learned, all of that combined with your voice, your face, how you walk through life, how people see you, all of that is unique. So even though, you've done things with 10,000 other people, your experience of it has been different. And you have to
Mm.
understand that somebody's looking for that voice and that experience of it to say, oh, that I resonate. It resonates with me. That I can relate to that. And so I would say everyone, should sort of investigate an opportunity like this to create an offer, to dig deep, to think about what they've done, what they experienced, and how they can package that for somebody else and not be afraid to sell it. It's I will say this. It's a 5-day challenge. And most
Mm.
people, I don't think, do it in 5 days. And I will say that honestly so that people don't feel the pressure to
Yeah.
do it in 5 days. I
Yes.
did it in 12 days or 10 days, I think. So
Yeah.
it was 12 days.
Absolutely.
So it's not a race. You can go at your own pace. You can get the understandings as you go along. There's a lot of content, a lot of helpful educational pieces that you have in there that, you pick and choose what's actually do the 5 days. That's the best way to learn.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
then there's so much extra content that if you need to learn more about AI to do your offer, there's so many opportunities to do that. And you just keep it jam packed with information. I would even suggest other caregivers, we need your voices. Okay. So
Hmm.
I would say join Arlen's, your first 5K group, because it is truly something you can do at your own pace, something that taps into your knowledge, and something that you can truly offer and be helpful. We need more voices in the workplace, in churches, in synagogues, everywhere.
Magnificent. I love that you suggested more caretakers share their voice. Like that, it's exactly kind of like the core of what I'm trying to do, or I guess I've accomplished it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Is like the more of our voices that we can amplify and your individual voice, whoever you are. Like, why does everybody else get to say what they want to say and
Yeah.
you don't? What stops us? What separates us? So it's fantastic. Thank you so much. And here's to that continued success, to you putting that out into the world and building your mini empire. And we'll definitely keep up with what's going on. If you join your first 5K through this video, we will have Dina's affiliate link as the link. So she will get 50% commission. She didn't know that, but I'm telling her that now. And and that's just kind of our way of keeping that going. Like, and come on in and learn as much as you can and implement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.